Hi there everybody, I've got the FTO road car in front of me today. This one has got a wheel off because we had it in for an MOT last Saturday. Prior to the MOT on the Friday I had a check over the car to see if there was any problems with it, and it looked great except for I got to the front of the car and the steering rack gaiter was completely split in half. Now in the UK that will not pass the MOT transport test, so it had to be changed. Now the problem with that is that I didn't have a steering gaiter handy, so I had to rob one off of a BMW steering rack that I've got as a spare, and I had to take a track rod in because I ended up making a mess of that off of the track car you've seen the other videos about. So today we're going to put proper track rod end on it and we're going to put a proper steering rack gaiter on it. It's a nice easy job, pretty much the same as every other Japanese car that you're going to find out there. Just remove the track rod end, take off the steering rack rod end nut, slide off the gaiter, put everything back together and button it all up, guys. The car then passed the MOT on the Saturday with no advisories at all, clean sheet, clean bill of health, so I know that if I get this done everything's great. Okay, so the first job here is just to nip off the nut that holds the track rod end on, which you can just about see at the tip of this spanner here. On this particular one, in this car, it's a 17mm nut here that I'm putting the spanner on, and on this track rod end there's actually squared off blocks so that you can put a tool around it. Now I've got an 18mm spanner here, and I will say I've cheated a little bit. I have pre-loosened this, so I'm just going to give it a couple of taps. There we go, it comes loose. I don't want to loose it any more than that, guys. If I make it any looser than that, I'm going to muck up the tracking on this car, so I want to try and make sure I keep the tracking as good as possible. So to be absolutely sure where the nut is, I'm going to use a little trick that I got from another fellow YouTuber. I'm going to put a little bit of nail polish just behind where the nut goes. Although you'll be able to see where the nut's been sitting previous to me removing it, this just makes it even easier. So after that I'm going to grab my tool and I'm going to undo the nut on the bottom of the track rod end, just down here. Now on this one it's a nylock nut, so there's no split pin holding it in. You can just about see it at the tip of my finger, I think, guys. So I'll just grab my cheater tool and we'll do that nice and quickly. Okay, so now the track rod end is essentially loose. There's a couple of different ways of removing track rod ends. You can use a ball bearing, ball splitter, you can use a couple of different types of tools, or you can use one of these guys. This is my favourite tool for doing it with. You don't want to hit the track rod end for obvious reasons. You want to hit the hub just below, and what's going to happen is the shock from hitting this metal here is going to pop the ball joint apart. So we'll give it a few taps. It might not work first time, we'll see how we go. There we go, and you saw how easily that popped out. Now you'll see other videos about this where they say to leave the nut on the end. That's probably a wise idea because it stops you hitting the threads. It depends how you want to go about it, guys. So now we've got the loose track rod end here, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind this out. I'm going to count the amount of turns which I take it off with. So let's have a little see how many turns we get. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, nearly there, 18, I think there's one more, 19, maybe a little bit more than that, just over 19. So as we put it on, we've got 19 turns. So I've got the two ways then of holding on to the tracking on the car, making sure we get 19 turns back on the new track rod end. And if you get in focus here and look down at the nut, you should be able to see quite clearly where the nail polish goes up to and where there's been a lot of dirt on the track rod end prior to me working on it. So all this part of the thread here is dirty. It's never had a nut on it at all. And then all the other part is covered in a little bit of old copper grease, but you can see the threads clearly. So let's unwind this nut completely. And now we can pull off the steering rack gaiter, guys. So I'm going to get my head underneath the car and cut the cable ties and then pull the thing towards me. Okay, so you can just about see the end of the steering rack end at the tip of my finger there. I know it's in the dark a bit, guys. We've got really bright sunshine behind us, so it's a bit difficult to film. In the distance, right at the back there, you can see the end of the steering rack itself. And then slightly in the foreground here, there's the ball joint that the steering rack end works upon. And that you can't have exposed, guys. You know, obviously it doesn't want dirt and rubbish getting in there, it's just going to fail on you. So we've got a new Gaiter here. Dead simple, it's got a thin end and a fat end. No guesses for which way it goes round, guys. Hopefully you can get that bit right. Stick it on the end of the steering rack end. I'm just going to ease it up. Okay guys, so I've pushed the steering rack Gaiter all the way in. Just at the tip of my finger, you can see there's a slight undercut on the steering rack end of the rod itself. The thin part of the Gaiter wants to sit right in that channel, so that when you put your cable ties or your metal ties around it, it gets a really good grip. So I'm just going to pull it a little bit backwards towards me. And that's then sat right in that little groove. On the other end, where the steering rack comes to the end and the rack end meets the steering rack, there's a similar groove that we're going to fit the fat end of the steering rack Gaiter around. So I'll go and do that now, check back in a couple of seconds. Okay guys, so we can see here now we've got it all buttoned up, we've got the cable tie around there. So we're going to move on now back down the steering rack end this way to doing the nut and getting the track rod end back on. So as per usual operating procedures, make sure we get a wee bit of copper grease on there, and then we'll pop the nut on first of all up to our marks, because we reckon that should be roughly where it's supposed to be. Okay, so I reckon about there, and then we'll grab our new track rod end, guys. Lovely fresh track rod end, thank you very much. Got a dust cover on it, we'll take the nut off, we'll get the dust cover off, just give it a little tug, there we are. Right, so a bit more grease just in the end of this. And then we'll start our counting trick. And the man I was mentioning earlier was a gentleman that a lot of you will have seen videos of, Eric the Car Guy. I've learned lots and lots from Eric the Car Guy, so thank you very much to him. Okay, so here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, I guess wasn't too bad, guys. Okay, so that's now basically it. The track rod end is on. I will now put her back into the hub, tighten up the nut, and then put the nylock nut back on the bottom of the hub, guys. So we'll just squeeze that in there as nice as we can. Now the track rod end has got a tapered pin on it, which some of you will know, some of you don't. You can't actually see that because it's inside the hub right now, but with a bit of force applied to the top of the track rod end, you should be able to get the nut on and start turning it until the nylon starts to engage, which is about there. I'll then put my hand on the top and lean down hard on it, and that should be enough force to get the nut tightened up. And in the meantime, after that, we'll then just tighten this nut up here, and we're good to go, guys. That's us. We can put the wheel back on, everything's tightened up, we've got a protected steering rack end, we've got a brand new track rod end. Thank you very much, folks. Sorry about the plane in the background. Paymo out.